I do this inside, I like to be more sticky. So the mixture is 2 to 1. 2 parts of the expensive stuff to 1 part of the cheap stuff.
Couldn't be the reverse.
Yeah, I know, exactly. That's why I remember it that way. It's not critical at all, as you can tell by my high precision measuring instrument here. So I did 4 of those, I'm going to do 2 of these. Now, if you want the mixture to burn faster than it does, you can actually mix in some powdered charcoal, and you'll get instead of the oxidizer oxidizing the sugar for its carbon, it will burn some of the charcoal. Unfortunately, that doesn't produce anything except for carbon dioxide. So what you end up with is not more smoke produced faster, it just burns a lot faster. But if you want it to do something like rocket fuel, you would mix in a little bit of the carbon just to increase the burn rate. This stuff burns very much like a flare. You got to keep it moving so that you don't overheat anything. This is probably actually a little hot. And the potassium nitrate starts out a little chunky here. As it starts to heat up, it'll dry off the water and it'll turn into a very fine, smooth powder that mixes up very well. You can actually do this completely without mixing it. In fact, you can even mix it with water and burn it wet. It just takes more of the reaction energy to vaporize all the water that's in there. But it's handy for forming it, and if you just want to do it quickly, you can do it that way. I prefer to do it with heating it because it feels like you're doing something more technical. And then as the thank you. As the process continues here, it'll get real powdery. It's starting to dry out here, and then as it continues, the sugar will start to melt. And basically, the whole process is just to melt the sugar and encapsulate all of the potassium nitrate. And as that sugar melts, it'll start to pill up here. You just want to keep going until it starts to turn a little bit brown. You want to lay out some of that. I just do it on the ground.
Yeah, it scared me.
Yeah, you can see if you're up close enough, you can see it's starting to melt here. One thing you do need to watch out for is, as you're heating it, the sugar will tend to, it holds a lot of heat, and if you overheat it too fast, or if you have really thick areas, it'll start to burn on the bottom before you notice it, and when you go to move it, it'll keep burning because like the temperature kind of overshoots. And if that starts to happen, you're very close to having a very smoky kitchen. And you can see it's starting to, the sugar's starting to mix up here. I do recommend a non-stick pan for this. You're not going to get in a high temperature mixer. You're not going to get up into the temperatures where you're messing with the pan at all. And it's water soluble, so when you're done, you just rinse it off. Okay, so it's starting to turn color there. What's that?
You said it is water soluble?
It is water soluble. And in fact, because it is sugar mostly, or partially, it will pull moisture from the air if you try to store them. And it'll get all sticky on the outside, which is not a hindrance to the material, but it is really nasty to work with. So if you're going to store them for any length of time, keep them in a tightly sealed container.
Almost the same recipe for candy.
Yeah, probably tastes pretty good too, actually, if you wanted to. You can make or buy fuses to put on this. Fuses really aren't necessary. If you want to make one, just take a little piece of paper and twist it into a curl, and then when you pour the stuff out, just drag it through there. You smell it? It's starting to smell like peanut butter.
Do you need that little metal strip to clean your spatula?
No, I just wipe it off on this.
Okay.
Use that pan for food.
But if you are lighting it with like a torch or whatever, there's really no need for a fuse. Go.
So you're wrapping in foil and putting a fuse in it?
2 pounds of potassium nitrate in a big pot on the stove. My buddy was over this in back in high school. With like 2 pounds of potassium nitrate on in a giant what do you call it?
Stock powder.
Yeah, on the stove in his parents' kitchen, and they had to get rid of it. There was so much smoke though. Nobody followed it was pretty bad.
Like they opened the window and nobody thought
Yeah,
there
no,
was a fire?
there was a ton of
Was it white or black?
It's white.
Typically a house fire is black smoke.
What's that?
Well, that only happened once, but it wasn't his mother was in the kitchen with him. So let's put that way.
Yeah, because of the way that the sugar holds the heat and doesn't move it around very well, if you want to make a lot of it, it's really best to do it in small batches. If you're working outside and you're really confident, or you have good temperature control, if you have like a hot plate where you can set the temperature, you can make bigger batches, but it just gets really hard to work with. And then when you go to pour it, you're working with probably 300 degree sugar, and you don't want to touch that. It burns very quickly. If you don't want the foil to be on it, use non-stick spray on the foil because it's difficult to get off there. And you can see that there's some little dark areas in here. This is from the temperature is kind of overshot a little bit, and it's caramelized a little bit extra. I probably should have taken it off just a few, maybe 30 seconds sooner. But if that continues, it will actually ignite itself and burn, and you can't put it out. That's the, since it has the fuel and the oxidizer mixed in there, it'll burn underwater anywhere. So
Which would actually be kind of cool.
it would be kind of cool.
Butterfly.
So when this solidifies, in a couple of minutes, we can go outside and set it off. Cooler. Yeah, it'll be fun. And actually, you probably don't actually need to wait for it to cool off.
It's just kind of burning into it.
It's going to burn. I mean, you don't, like I said, you don't technically even really have to heat it up. It's just more convenient that way. People like to use them for like paintball games and stuff like that, and carrying around things with powder in them is a little more inconvenient.
So, what got you into doing this? I mean, you have obviously a bunch of potassium nitrate fairly.
This is the smallest amount I could find anywhere.
Okay, so you bought it just for the.
I bought it for smoke bombs. The biggest one I made was a toilet paper or a paper towel tube, which burned for, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Yeah,
So it's not very black something, so.
Yeah.
That's actually what I started looking into it for too.
Yeah, and when I bought that, that was the minimum order from Skylighter, and I had to also go find $5 worth of other stuff. So if anybody has a particular need for some terephthalic acid, I've got a little tub of it. I have no idea what you would use it for, but
That's awesome.
it doesn't do anything when you put it in a smoke bomb.
We did have a house at one time.
There were only a few burn marks in the carpet.
Just the cat, that's all.
And the cat. Cats burn green, by the way. Okay, so it's starting to harden up. It's a lot like taffy, and you can see where it's burned in the middle there. Definitely should have kept it a little cooler than that.
It's only
But,
stump remover.
It will. Yeah, and stump remover. Because the stuff is really not very sensitive to the mixture, you can get potassium nitrate at the hardware store as stump remover.
You can only buy it online now.
Oh, really?
Yep, I checked. Yeah.
Okay. But that's almost entirely potassium nitrate with some other crap in it. And it probably would work just fine for this. But the pure stuff is powdered, which is easier to mix with your sugar. And really not that difficult to get. You don't need a license or anything like that. You might end up on some watch lists, but
I think you'll end up on any.
yeah, probably on this already.